Hey everyone, Jeremy here from Centre for Health. So today I'm going to take you through some lower back strengthening and stability exercises for you to do while you're stuck at home in isolation. Now, before we start going through the exercises, the first thing to remember is to make sure you remember to do the 3 instructions that I explained in a previous video. So I won't go through them in detail now, but just so you remember, make sure you find neutral spine, make sure you abdominally hollow, and make sure you keep breathing throughout each exercise. So, the first exercise that we'll go through is what we call the wounded bow. So what I'll get Carmel to do is lift her legs up to tabletop, or 90 degrees, and then lift her arms up so her fingers are pointing towards the ceiling. The first progression of this exercise is for Carmela to lower one arm down at a time. So it's important to make sure while she's doing this that she keeps that abdominal hollow, she maintains neutral spine, and she keeps breathing. The next progression is to lower one leg at a time, straight down to the floor without touching it. Now what you'll notice when you're doing this is the lower you get to the ground, the more that your lower back will want to arch and lift up. So it's important to make sure you keep that neutral spine. If you find it difficult to keep it in that neutral spine position, then just lower your leg to the point where you can control it. The next and final progression is to do one leg and one arm at the same time on opposite sides. Just like that. Again, make sure you do this slowly, and with control. The whole point of this exercise is to coordinate all of these movements while maintaining neutral spine, keeping your abs turned on, and breathing. Great, you can lower down, Carmela. The next exercise we're going to show you today is what we call a glute bridge. Now, same instructions as earlier, but what we're going to add on to this is when you start the glute bridge, I want you to make sure that you activate and switch on your glutes. So essentially you want to squeeze your butt cheeks together. Make sure you keep that glute activation going throughout this exercise. So what you're going to do is activate the glutes and lift the pelvis up. And you want to try and form a straight line from your shoulder up to your knee. So lower down, Carmela. Now you want to take this through reps and make sure when you lift up and when you lower down, the whole thing is slow and controlled. Now, the next progression of this is I want you to lift up and hold up at the top, and then I want you to straighten out one leg. Now remember, this is supposed to be slow and controlled. So what you want to do is you want to create a straight line from your shoulder up to your toe and slowly lower down. And you can rest down there, Carmela. Again, slow and controlled. We're not trying to smash this exercise out. We're aiming to train these muscles so that they have stability and control whilst you're doing any form of exercise. Another progression of this is, Carmela, if you want to lift up, while everything is switched on, I want you to lift your arms up so that your fingers are pointing up the sky, and slowly lower down. And take that through reps. Again, you want to make sure this is slow and controlled, and make sure you remember all the previous instructions. Keep your neutral spine, keep your abs switched on, and make sure you keep those glutes firing. Lower down. The reason that's so important is because when you're doing any sort of activity, let's say throwing, you want to make sure that your pelvis and all the muscles around it and that lower spine are switched on and stable. Because if they're not stable while you're throwing, that's how you're going to hurt your lower back. So it's the same thing with this. When you're focusing on lifting your arms up, you want to make sure that you don't let one of your glutes deactivate, or you don't lose that neutral spine. You want everything to be slow and controlled and stable. The next exercise we're going to show you today is what we call the glute clam. So Carmela, what I'm going to get you to do is turn onto your side to face the camera, please. And we'll get Carmela a pillow. There you go. Now, this exercise is to work on your glute medius, or the outside of your glutes. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we want to have the hips in about 60 degrees and the knees at about 90 degrees. And what I'm going to get Carmela to do is, while keeping her feet together, I want you to lift up your knee. Perfect, and slowly lower down. And you want to go through those reps. The next progression of this is to, this time, lift the whole leg up, so the knee and the ankle. Perfect. And lower down. The next progression is to straighten out the legs completely, so you've got your whole body is straight, and lift the whole leg up. Great. Now again, make sure you are slow and stable with this. The lowering down of your leg is almost as important as the lifting up part. And relax. The final progression for this is for Carmela to bend her knees at 90 degrees from here and lift up the entire leg again. Perfect. And lower down and you can relax. So this exercise can either be done as reps or as a hold. If you're doing it as a hold, then make sure you hold it for a minute. Now, if it's proving really easy and you can just do this many, many times over, the next progression is to get a TheraBand and tie it around your knees so you add resistance. And again, you want this to be slow and controlled, and you want to hold it there. Make sure you keep breathing. Make sure everything else is still switched on and firing. The final exercise is what we call the bird dog exercise. So Carmela, what I'm going to get you to do is to please go on all fours. Like that. Now with this on, you want to make sure that the shoulders are straight above the hands and the hips are straight above the knees. Now, as I said with previous exercises, you need to remember to maintain neutral spine, make sure you're abdominally hollow throughout the exercise, and make sure you keep breathing. You might find it a bit more difficult to keep neutral spine in this position because you don't have the feedback of the floor on your back, but do your best. Now, the first progression of this exercise is what I want Carmel to do is, while keeping everything switched on and stable, lift one arm up straight. Perfect, and lower down. So that's the easiest one. The next progression is to do this, but with your leg. So straighten one leg out. Great. And then the final progression is to do one leg and one arm at the same time on opposite sides. Perfect. Now what I want you to do while you're doing this exercise, I want you to imagine you've got a little ball on your lower back there. I want you to do your best to make sure that ball doesn't roll off whilst you're doing the exercise. So you're not twisting, you're not arching, you're not moving your spine. This all stays stable and doesn't move whilst you're doing the exercise. Remember, this exercise, all these exercises are about stability and control of your core muscles, which is the front, the back, and lower down. Awesome, guys. So that's our 4 exercises to strengthen your lower back whilst you're at home and in isolation. So I hope you enjoy them. If you have any questions, if you've got any pain, don't do them. Come chat to us, send us a message, and we'll help you out. We'll see you next time.